Hey everybody!
Hi!
Welcome back to Wine!
What was that?
Women
in
EMS! So, we are going to get to the fun/serious part of wine, which is we're going to actually have some wine. So, this one is a Muscadine wine from North Carolina called Easy. So, it's a sweet Muscadine wine. So,
what is muscadine?
it's a type of grape, but it's a sweet grape.
Okay.
And they almost remind me of bull grapes, with the ones with the seeds in it. So
I just know it's a grape. So, all right, ladies.
The flavor profile's really good.
She does all that fancy stuff.
Hey now.
I swirl and drink.
I mean, the smell is really good. You can see it. They separate a little bit.
It coats the glass nice. I remember one wine tasting that I did that they were mentioning that.
So it's sweet, but it's kind of woodsy as well. Like I got a barky undertone. Barky. It's weird.
That was a new word.
Okay.
Okay.
But you know what I mean?
No, I know
right?
what you mean. Yes,
Like,
it's definitely got a woodsy undertone, but it's definitely sweet. It's earthy.
I like earthy.
It's earthy.
So the bottle tells us to sweeten your day with this crisp, mellow red, a fresh, fruity start with a lively finish, and it's best served chilled.
Ah, luckily it was chilled.
It was.
I like my wine chilled, even if it's red. I'm weird. I will put an ice cube in my wine.
I do too.
It's a thing. Don't judge
Okay.
us.
All right.
They're judging us.
Well, I mean, because I want to when I drink, I have the tendency to gulp, and I want to be refreshed. And I do drink lukewarm water, but that's a totally different reason. But when I'm drinking to drink to not be thirsty, I want to gulp.
Well, everywhere in Europe they drink lukewarm water because it's actually not good for your body to be that cold because it shocks it, especially if you're dehydrated.
That's true.
To shock it because it has to warm it up and then absorb it.
Yeah.
So it's easier if it's lukewarm actually for rehydration.
And then also over in Europe, they drink their beers with it too.
That's how I like my beers.
No,
So,
not me.
No,
I'm very American.
I like an ice cold.
I am
beer.
a lukewarm beverage person.
Honestly.
Always have been. Yeah, always have been.
Some
Lukewarm beer, soda, yogurt.
I will drink lukewarm
Yeah.
soda.
So
I'll drink flat soda though too.
yeah. Okay.
Don't
So-
judge.
Oh.
So, wine. Why are we here today?
So today we are going to talk about something that is at the forefront of everybody's mind right now. We all know about the recent killing of George Floyd. We also know about the recent killings of unarmed black men and women. And so with the city that we're in, we've actually had some pretty intense protests going on in the downtown area. And so we just wanted to talk about that just for a few minutes, coming from the perspective of being
A person of color in this profession, right?
So it's been, I've had this conversation with some former partners, and it's always been eye-opening to see how they perceive things, but they've also been really appreciative of how we see things as well. So we just wanted to talk about that for just a couple of minutes.
So, I will take you back to as recently as last Friday when the protests in this area started. We didn't tell anybody where we're from, but we're from Richmond, Virginia, and we kind of been in the news lately with how noisy our protests have been here. So, as recently as of last Friday, I had a patient call me some very explicit, I didn't say it right, explicit, bad words. And I was training a fellow who was actually getting cleared the next day or 2 days later, but this was his last shift with me. And after we had finished the call, he just really didn't say much, and actually, back up. So it was his first shift cleared. He had gotten cleared, and he had been training with me. And his first shift cleared, he worked with me as his partner. Okay. So, so he was running the call, you know, and the patient was like FUNB. Okay. And I was like, okay, you know, like a duck, you know, you gotta let it roll off because you gotta finish the call. So when we finished the call and we're sitting in the ambulance and he's writing his call sheet, he just looks really like dejected, you know, and I'm like, bro, what's up? He's like, I don't think I've ever heard that said to anybody before. He was like, I was really uncomfortable when that patient said that. And I was like, well, how do you think I feel? Or like, how do you think we feel? Like, you know, when that happens. Yeah, we get upset, but I still have a job I have to do, and I have to treat this patient, and I'm going to treat this patient. Now, maybe in his defense, I don't know, he had a head injury, so, you know, but, I mean, it does make you uncomfortable, you know. And then that night, that's when the riots started happening downtown, you know. So it really brought that moment like into perspective, like right there in that 20-minute pass, you know, for someone to experience that specific type of racism, feminism, classism, prejudice, period, and it was so clear to him that he was lost for words, you know. But unfortunately, that's something that not only have that's not the first time I've experienced that. I've had patients say that they didn't want me to treat them because I'm black.
I've had that too.
I've had patients say that they didn't want me to ride in the back of the ambulance with them because I'm black. That I wasn't smart enough because I'm black. And that's something that you just have to take and you gotta kind of push it aside and overcome. And
well, it's not just that, you know, you're black, but you're a black female on top
right.
of that. So you have like two things going against you, where people like I don't know if this happens to you, but this has happened to Tarsha when I was precepting with Tarsha and Pete. They would look. Pete was the BLS provider. She's the paramedic. And when we were asking questions, or like we were going to a nursing home or anything like that, they would come up to Pete to give him the report, just assuming because he's a white male.
Right.
That he's the one who gets the report, and we'd both be looking uncomfortably like it's Tarsha, and then they would look to me, and I'm like, no. So it was like male, white, and then O.
Right.
And everybody was uncomfortable because we're like, why would you assume that?
Right. Yeah, it does happen, and my partner is a male, white partner, and that happens frequently.
Pause.
Time out.
We'll cut this. What's up?
Sorry.
No, you're good. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're sweaty, babe.
Yeah,
You
it's
need
hot.
you need something to drink?
Yes,
Okay. You can stop
pause
that.
it.
Get him. Oh, I remember. So yes, I've had that happen as well. My partner is a white male as well, and almost every time we walk into a skilled nursing facility or assisted living facility, independent living facility, or anything like that, 9 times out of 10, they will immediately talk to my partner, and he'll go.
But the funny thing about it is that they don't always catch that the first time you do it.
Right.
Like there were several times when Lindsay was precepting with us that my partner would be like, no, it's her. Oh, okay, well here you go, and still hand him the paperwork, and he'd be like, no, you need to talk to her. And I mean, it gets to the point where you actually don't even care
See it anymore, right?
because it happens so frequently.
Right.
And so, getting back to the subject at hand, so it's weird because you're literally riding the fence as a person of color and as a first responder who your job is to first do no harm, right? But then you have all of these people who have caused so much hurt and harm to a particular subgroup of people that you're just like, okay, well, where do I fit in the mix?
Right.
And that's been the conversation that a lot of us have been having.
Right.
Because, they're like, well, how do you support police officers? But you're a medic. But you're black.
And you support Black Lives Matter, and so I think it's a couple things we have to look at this. So, do we, as people of color in this job, still experience a type of systemic racism in our workplace, be it purposely or not? And the short answer to that is yes. Okay? And the other short answer is no, but there are long yes and no, okay, with it, okay? So, do we know? Because everybody has the same education, we all have to do this continuing credit hours the same. It doesn't matter if I'm black or white or male or female. I need 72 hours of continuing education credit, just like my white male coworkers need 72 hours of continuing education credit to continue to perform their job as an ALS provider. Okay? I mean, that's simple, right? So, no for the long answer to that. Yes, the long answer is that I'm still may not be recognized as the professional that I am because of the color of my skin. Okay? And that's not because I don't advertise it. I wear a paramedic patch on my arm. My badge says paramedic. I've been doing this job in the city for 20 some odd years, so a lot of the other professionals, first responders that I work with know that I'm in charge, or I'm the ALS provider rather. But when I go into other places, they may not know that. Okay? Does it bother me?
It used to. It doesn't.
It really doesn't anymore because I'm just trying to take care of the patient. So I'll just listen to what they're telling, or they'll talk, and then my partner will turn to me and go, this patient is having XYZ, they've been experiencing it this long, blah, blah, blah. And then you'll see the nurse go, oh, I should have been talking to you. Oh, no, it's okay. He told me everything that's going on. So that's that. I think what has happened over the last couple of days that I either feel is very genuine or maybe people are just nosy. I've had quite a few of my white male co-workers, especially police officers, who have come to me and are like, hey, can you tell me your thoughts on this? Because it may be something that they have either never experienced or have never seen before. We have been lucky at least in our region, with especially with our police department and the police departments that surround us, that we haven't had any really large profile cases of police brutality or anything like that. We've had some, but they haven't been really, really large. And they're very open I had a conversation with an officer yesterday. We probably talked for like 45 minutes, and he's like, just please tell me what it is that I need to understand, I need to see, I'm listening. I want to take this back to my coworkers so we can change how we're policing. And I think that's the first time that I really had a super honest conversation with a police officer that was really wanted to take that information and pass it along.
What kills me is it took the death of an innocent young man for us to have this conversation. This conversation should have happened years ago, a long time ago. And
well, sure.
Social change should have happened a long time
sure.
ago. The system's broken. And I guess, and I'll admit, I used to think I was whatever you call woke or whatever white people come up with. You know, we're crazy. I'm not. I've learned so much.
Time out right quick. And I sent this text message. No.
Oh.
I sent this text message to some friends of mine who are white, and I said, I love how you love me, but that whole new thing with white women shaving their heads for Black Lives Matter.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not. I just do it because I like shaving.
No, I know. I know.
Because I like Viking hairstyles. I did this before it was cool.
I was like, I don't get that. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. But so I've learned and I've been open, and I didn't realize how much I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought, I mean, compared to like a lot of people I know, I knew I was more open to learning. Not that I'm bragging or anything. I'm not perfect. Don't get me wrong. But I've just learned so much by watching on Facebook and reading the news and actually investigating backstories.
Right.
And
Or even just listening to your friends.
listening to,
you know?
and I do that more now.
Right, you know, and it's hard. I had a Facebook thread discussion with somebody about 2 days ago, and we were talking about the disparities in healthcare for people of color versus, you know, Caucasian people, and or Caucasian white. We can say white, right?
Cracker.
We can say
You
white.
can say cracker.
Right? I don't want to say
No.
it now.
You can still say white racial slurs, the comedian, I forget who said it. You can't do any racial slur but white racial slurs. They're still on. They're still on.
so we were having this discussion, and he was trying to say that, like, no, it's you know, people aren't not paying attention to people of color because of money and where they're located, and all of a sudden I'm like, bro, yes they are.
Yeah,
like,
no,
it may not be you. I said, it's not you. Clearly it's not you, because you take care of people like they're supposed to be taken care of. I said, I am a female, I'm African American, I'm educated, I have excellent insurance. I said, I have gone to doctors and complained of a complaint. Okay, and I, you know, maybe I'll talk to my white girlfriends about it, and that we've had the same complaint, and they're like, oh, well, my doctor did X, Y, and Z, and blah blah blah, and I was like, bro, the doctor told me to lose weight because I'm fat. I'm like, I know I'm fat,
Yeah.
like I know that,
I'm
okay,
weird.
but I still have this complaint, and we're not investigating that complaint. I was explaining to the police officer yesterday, I was like, this is the United States of America, and our mortality rate for just women, period, that die in childbirth is ridiculous. And I said, the rate of women of color who die in childbirth is even higher than that. In the United States of America, in a first world country.
One of the most developed
One of the
countries in
Can we
world.
put quotes on that? Because
Okay? That should be the most unacceptable thing ever. Okay? And it's still happening.
And it's funny how it's stuff that, you know, talking about going to the doctor and having having complaints. And so one of the things that we're taught is that if a woman is complaining of very specific pain to the left or right side of her abdomen, that it's what?
ectopic pregnancy.
Ectopic pregnancy until proven otherwise. So unfortunately, both Tamara and I deal with diverticulitis, and so I had gone to the ER one day because my stomach was hurting so bad. Left lower quadrant, like classic symptoms of a diverticulitis flare, right? And so granted it was busy that day, so I'm not knocking them because of that, but it was busy, but I was complaining of this very specific abdominal pain, and I was nauseous, had fever, throwing up, and they had me sitting out in the waiting room for 5 or 6 hours, and then when I get into the back, I'm still waiting for another 2 or 3 hours, and honestly, the only reason I had gotten a bed at that point was because the nurses, it was a facility that we go to pretty frequently, so the nurses knew me. The nursing supervisor actually came down and was like, I am so sorry, and we are trying so hard to get you a bed. And I finally got a bed in the back. Again, I still had to wait like another 2 or 3 hours, and then he's like, oh, well, are you sure you're not pregnant? And that's the first thing that the doctor says. Like, what makes you think that, even though that's one of the first questions that you should ask, that he stayed on that.
Didn't let it go.
He would not let it go. And I'm like, I'm telling you, this is what's happened before. This is what I'm feeling. I understand that you do have to do a pregnancy test, one, to rule that out because I am of childbearing years, and then also because of how specific the complaint was, and then also for x-rays and things like that, for whatever other precautions that they need to take if you are pregnant to do those tests. So I understand that you have to do a pregnancy test, but don't sit up here and do a pregnancy test and then get pissed off because that's not the reason why I'm there. After I've told you that this is what's
What
going
the
on.
complaint is, right. So I think if we once we get to the point where when people of color or women, okay,
experience it.
can go to somebody and say, this is wrong, can we investigate that? Then that issue will go away. You know, I was also explaining to the officer yesterday, I said, you know, everybody's saying F the police, but it should be F the system.
I agree.
Right? Okay, it should be F the system. Because we have housing that's unaffordable. We have food deserts in communities that have to travel 20 or 30 minutes to get to a grocery store.
And they don't have a car.
And they don't have a car. You know, we got to bus people back and forth to Walmart. I think it's the stupidest thing in the world. We have a job desert, you know, where the only jobs that are available in some of those communities are, you know, construction.
I don't really know.
But like, you know, McDonald's and Burger King. Not saying that that's a bad job, because you need those service people. I don't think people realize how important service people were until the last 2 months. You know, and that, you know, those people work hard. You know,
they don't have the access
to move up. You
There's
know,
that ceiling.
right? And so, you know, we always tell people that if you just try harder, you know, but unfortunately sometimes they're at their top. You know, that they are at their top. You know, we have people who live in government-funded housing because a studio apartment is $1,200 a month.
And that's all they're making a month.
You know, I don't understand that.
Even us with education, training, and everything else, I mean, it's still rough to make rent.
Right.
Like, it's still tight.
You know, so I think if we can start looking at basic human right lifestyles of things, that in general our world would change. Okay, so I don't know about you or anybody else, but I understand that all lives matter. Okay, but all lives can't matter until Black lives matter. I'm not trying to diminish that at all, but I'm asking you to hear and understand that my Black life matters, that her Black life matters, that my daughter's Black life matters, my brothers, my nieces, and cousins, and everybody else, that our lives matter.
So I saw a really good post the other day. I don't know if you saw it, I reposted it. Matter is the bare minimum. You are worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You deserve this.
Mm-hmm.
Matter is the bare fucking minimum that they should have.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not even there yet. That's pathetic.
Right.
That should be the bare minimum. We should be striving for more.
Mm-hmm.
If we had to say white lives matter, first off, I'm racist, so I'm not racist. Do not pull that clip. But that people would be outraged to be like, well, we more than matter. Okay, well, so do Black lives.
Mm-hmm.
They more than matter.
Right.
That's a weak statement, in my opinion. That it's sad that that's where we have to start.
Mm-hmm.
It breaks my heart.
Right.
But I have not lived it, and I will not claim to understand, know, or anything, because I don't. I did. I grew up in a lower middle class white family, private school. I had no clue growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I did. Fucking cool.
Right.
You live, you learn. I'm glad I'm more, aware and listen, and still have so much to learn. But I have a really hard question for both of you.
Okay. Yes.
So, and then maybe we'll end on this one.
Okay.
So this is a very poignant, hard question. As an EMS provider, on scene, and I know it's happened to you, you have seen a police officer being racist or escalating a situation of a person of color that did not need to be escalated. The situation did not call for it.
Yes.
How do you, if you were the medic on scene, how would you handle that?
So my first priority is to the safety and well-being of my patient. I always tell patients, because a lot of patients get freaked out when they see police officers on scene, and I'm like, actually, they're not here for you, they're here for me, They were actually just checking on me to make sure I was okay because they heard the call go out. And they're like, oh, okay, but why are you? I said, they can actually go. I'm good. And also, I hadn't seen them in a while, and we were supposed to go get dinner or something. So I always make it familial so that there's that level of comfort that they see. If that doesn't work, I am quick to tell the officer, hey, I gotta go. We're asking him questions. Well, you know what hospital we're going to, so let me go ahead and get him taken care of.
Meet us there.
And you can meet us there. Right. And I have done that on several occasions. And because I'm one of those people that people have never had a problem with. They're like, oh, she's always easy to get along with. She's easy to talk to. She's cool, blah, blah, blah. That when I say that usually stops them in their track. And then I can get my patient to calm down, get them to the hospital. That also gives the patient time to calm down. And then because the police officer usually is a few steps behind us when we get to the ER, I can then also let the nurse know what happened on scene so that they can kind of be aware of what's going on.
So it's kind of the same way for me. I will attempt to de-escalate the situation by pulling the person out of that situation. So I'll go, hey, look, bro, we're going to the hospital. Meet us down there. You know, and they go, okay. And they usually do. And so by the time they get to the hospital, everybody's kind of calmed down a little bit. Have I talked to a supervisor? Absolutely. I don't know if you need to talk to your officer over here, but what he just did was completely uncalled for. Now, did anything happen after that? I'm not sure. Okay. But I will speak up. And that's what we need people to do. We need people to speak up. So, with that being said,
thank you guys.
Thank you so much for joining us. Remember again to hit the subscribe button. Take a look in the description to take a look at the website, and we will join us.
Join us.
You join us.
But always, if you have a subject you want us to talk about that's hard, we love hard subjects.
Yes.
Yeah, put those in the comments too. And don't forget to wash your hands. COVID's still real.
Wear a mask.